Sort of just, I've warmed them up. They're a good crowd. They're all yours, maybe.
I'm going to perch on the edge of here. If I do sometimes sort of wander around, but I'm going to try not to too much, otherwise I'll drop this. The reason for this is because with paper you're fixed as to the colour and the size of the font and that sort of thing, and as I'll cover in a moment, different days can affect me in different ways, and therefore I need to be constantly changing the size of the font and the space between the words and all those sort of things so I can see it properly. So technology, this would be a completely separate talk, because sometimes I do talk about technology and how technology helps me live with dementia. That would be a completely separate thing. We're not going to worry about technology today, just use it. So bear with me on that one. Also, because you're such a mixed audience, lovely audience, but a mixed audience, it's been as good as impossible to prepare beforehand and say, right, I'm going to do that, in a lovely long speech that I could just scroll through. I've been trying, as I've been listening, to piece together what bits do I need to be talking about to try and be most useful to you for this evening. So I've got to jump around a bit in my kind of modules, my bits, so I might get lost at times or think, hang on, no, we're not doing that bit, I've got to load up another thing on the screen, so there might be gaps, so as if I press the pause button, but my mind will still be going, I hope. Right, well, first of all, thanks Ash. I always thank Ash for giving me the chance to talk to people, because it gives me not just a buzz to help people, it gives me a purpose in life that has kind of been taken away by the dementia. We all have a purpose. You start each day and you've got a purpose for that day. Now, whether it be work, whether it be family, whatever it may be, you've got a purpose. Well, my purpose is it got taken away doing this and helping to raise awareness and helping other people, such as yourselves, then go on and help other people. Now, whether that be talking to one carer in a care home who then goes out and betters the life of their 20 clients, customers, whatever we call them, or whether it be you guys who then go out there and make a difference to somebody else's life, I've done my bit. And that makes me feel good and gives me back that purpose in life. And that's really useful. Also, to say, in my past I have done sales presentations, one of them to 1,500 people at Wembley Conference Centre, but of course that's looking out into the darkness, as if there's no one there. And I was talking about a product that was on a screen behind me. We're talking about me here and something that really has a personal meaning, and I can look into your eyes and see them. That's far more scary than 1,500 people out there in the darkness. So please bear with me and be nice. Right, I'm Wayne, and I'm quite well known across the internet and in what I call dementia land as tutor. It's spelt that way because I used to be a teacher. I wanted tutor, I think something like 27 years ago when I tried to get my internet name, and somebody in America had already taken tutor, spelled T-U-T-O-R, so I went for tutor, the play on words, and I've had that ever since. So I'm 61 years young, I'm much fitter and healthier than I have ever been in my life, and if I could manage to find some way to get my dementia-addled brain sorted out, life would be brilliant, but it's not. So anyway, I have to live with it as I get through my journey through dementia land. And I do call it a journey because that's what it is. It is a journey, but it's an adventure. Every day is different, and that's not just sort of saying, oh well, every day is different for everybody. With dementia, you can spend, you could live every day the same day over and over and over. And to somebody outside of dementia, you hear people talking and they're telling you the same story. They've told you before. Hopefully not just 5 minutes ago, which can happen with some as they progress more down their journey. But they're telling you the same story. But to them, it may well be different. They don't know that they've told you that story, but to them, today is different to every other day. even if it's the same day to you, and you think, hang on, but you did exactly this yesterday, step by step, you're going through exactly the same process, but to them it's different. And I hope some of the kind of little stories, what do they call them? Anecdotes that I throw at you, you'll see that how I see things may be different to how everybody else is perceiving it. And that's part of the trouble. And also, before I really get going, a word of warning. One of the many things I have is vascular dementia. And part of that, one of the symptoms of that is what they call an ever-lowering social filtering system. Which means you may think something, and it whirls around in your head, and before it comes out of your mouth, you think, maybe I better not say that because. No, I've lost that. At times that's completely gone. Sometimes it doesn't even whirl around in my head, it just comes out my mouth and I think, who said that? And I don't even realise what it is that's going on until I see the look on the face of the person I'm talking to or at, and I think, oh Christ, probably I shouldn't have said that. And I might not even noticed what it was I said. Now that means that if you start talking while I'm talking, I might well turn around and say, shut up, I'm talking. Now I won't actually mean that, but then again I might. You're not actually going to know. Be ready for that one, beware. Right, and this is where I'm going to hit one of those slight gaps and go in and find a next bit, because I want to talk about my background, who I am, where I came from, and that sort of thing, if I can get there quickly enough. Right, my background was in the IT industry. It's got nothing to do with why I'm comfortable with technology now, but it's probably got something to do with it. And I spent 20 years in some fairly high-powered jobs at some fairly high-powered companies. And I started getting a bit fed up with the IT industry. I found that I quite liked people rather than just computers and things. So I moved sideways, still in the IT industry, into sales. That was okay, I enjoyed that sort of extrovert kind of bit, being in sales. But part of the job that I found was teaching people how to use these systems that they didn't really want, that I persuaded them into buying because I was good at selling, and I then had to teach them how to use them. And I thought, I like this is really good. This is working with people and teaching them how to use stuff, how to use computers effectively. I like this. So I then left the computer industry, really disgruntled with it, and went into teaching. And I finally found my true sort of love and vocation, and spent the next 20 years in teaching up to degree level of business and IT. I was sort of head of department, that kind of thing. Stressful stuff. And 2002 had 2 massively stressful years, but massively successful years. The college I was at that time was sort of teaching degree level, so associated with the University of Brighton. And my department had the most successful set of results that that college had had. But the cost on that was, bang, as soon as it reached the end of term and I realised I had a major heart attack that was almost fatal. I was lucky, or bloody-minded enough. I lived close enough to the hospital, rather than risking phoning an ambulance and waiting, which I would have died. I then said to my daughter, you're going to have to put shoes on, we're going to go for a walk. I was only 9 at the time, and that kind of kept me going. And we walked to the hospital, got through the doors, and I just went, bang. Apparently I was completely grey, and they couldn't believe how it happened. You know, this dead body had come walking into the hospital. But somehow or other I survived it. Thank you, I think. Well, that then led to the next 5 years of all sorts of problems where I had, because of the huge stress, high blood pressure, from the heart attack and the medication. I then ended up with thyroid problems, with an underactive thyroid. Then just to add to the stress, I lost a very close friend on the operating table having heart bypass surgery. So I think, hang on, I survived and he died. That wasn't too good. Then my mum died after a long sort of drawn out illness of Alzheimer's. Then just to add to that, a couple of years later, then my son died through a heart attack, and I was there at the time trying to save him, and he actually died with me not able to do it. So of course how that went into my mind is that I'd allowed him to die, blah, 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 and things just got sort of worse and worse. But then suddenly things got a bit better. People stopped dying around me, apart from father-in-law who was closer, he died as well through a liver failure. So all these ugly things going on, so I was having a wicked time. But finally they stopped dying around me, it was my turn, and I went into having panic attacks, 15 months in therapy, in and out of work. I started having personality and character changes, and then this odd little thing about memory issues started coming up as well. Not very good. Now these things meant big changes to lifestyle, and the teaching had to stop. You're there in front of a class full of teenagers, not always overly forgiving, and when they find out you've got a weakness, they tend to prey on it. There was fun times as well. I'd get things like, sorry sir, didn't do my homework, but I thought you'd forget. And these things didn't go down too well. The staff didn't even notice, but then their teachers, they don't notice anything else, they only notice themselves. So, but the teaching had to stop. So I went back into the computer industry for a little while. That was so ingrained in me, I could do that without thinking about it. And I would hope that as a fairly intelligent person, coping strategies. I wasn't developing coping strategies, my brain was, without me even thinking about it, developing all these coping strategies that hid the problems that were going on. From me and from everybody else. I knew there was something wrong. I didn't feel like I was me. I didn't know who I was, but I just wasn't quite me, but I couldn't quite put a finger on it. And other people started noticing. Eventually I was persuaded, well, yeah, better bring it up with the doctor and that sort of thing. And the doctor just sort of said, it's stress, you've been doing stressful jobs, look at what's been going on in your life, it's stress. Yeah, wicked. It's stress, thanks very much, and off I went. Toggled on, carried on with life as if nothing was wrong. Things started getting worse and worse, causing major problems at work and at home, because I'd imagine conversations or forget conversations. And I know all blokes have selective memory. But it was starting to get to the point of ridiculous, really ridiculous, and causing major problems. And so I started insisting that the doctor do these tests, and I call them MMSE. I can't even remember what it stands for now, but there's these tests that we do. And so you go to the doctor's, you've got an appointment, you know where the doctor's is, you'll go to the doctor's on that day, at that time, get these tests. And one of the questions is, where are we? What day is it? What time is it? What month is it? And you think, oh, well, yeah, I can do these things. You've already scored half the points on the test, and you do well. And so I'm passing the tests. Eventually it got to the point where I wasn't quite so easily passing the tests, even though it's really simple, easy tests, and I'm not doing quite so well, and the doctor's suggesting that I'm kind of borderline, maybe things aren't quite right. Ego kicks in, and I got really stroppy. I said, what do you bloody mean? I'm a degree level lecturer, and you're telling me I'm average? I'm not bloody average. I'm a superstar, come on. If I'm only getting average, there should be alarm bells ringing. There is something badly wrong here. I should not be average. Anyway, this went on for 7 years. 7 years. Basically, you think that it was the heart attack back in 2004, caused vascular damage, got worse and worse and worse, affecting my brain and the blood flow to it, etc., 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 brain cells dying. And it wasn't until January of last year that finally, after having very, very in-depth tests, 3 hours with a psychiatric nurse answering all sorts of things, going to a memory clinic, having blood tests and various lumbar puncture and all these sort of lovely things that they do to you, and brain scans, that eventually, sitting there in front of a psychiatrist and the care coordinator, and they say, well, sorry about this, but it appears you've got mixed dementia, vascular dementia and Alzheimer's. Here's some literature, here's a prescription for some medication, we'll see you in a year. And that's about all the help you get to start with. It's sort of, well, we've done our bit, thanks very much. We're the professionals, we know what to do, clear off. So I went off, and for a very short while I actually thought, well, at least now I know why it is I've been going a bit doolally and forgetting things and that. So I felt okay for a little while, but then I started getting a bit more scared, started looking into it, doing more and more research, and well, I went off into some pretty dark places for a while. Was not good, got angry, kicked a few trees, sorry trees. And I'd only been in Kent for about a year at that time, so to suddenly be in this position where I feel like almost everything had been snatched away. I couldn't work anymore. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't really control half of what I was thinking. I could wake up one morning and not really know who I was. I can't describe it terribly accurately. I can only say that I would have gone to sleep the night before thinking, I'm me. And I would wake up in the morning and I wouldn't be quite so sure I was still me. Yes, it looked like me and it felt like me, but sometimes I wasn't able to do things that I did yesterday without even thinking about it. It's a bit like this, you know, I could say to you, like, well, you have notes, you're sitting there, you're listening, you're thinking, you're writing notes, you're reading the notes to make sure that you're doing all these things without even thinking about it. To me, they're all very separate operations, and sometimes life sets these operations just to trip me up, and it does a really good job. Sometimes things just don't work in the way you would expect them to work. They look very, very different. I stopped driving a long time ago, firstly by my own choice, because those of you that are drivers, you know driving is a fairly automatic thing. You get to somewhere and you're not really conscious of what went on. But if you think about it, you know, oh, I drove here and I went past there, da, 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 da. But I was getting to places and I could not recall anything to talk about the journey. Anything. Now, as far as I was, I might run people over on the way to wherever I was going. I wouldn't know, because there was no recollection of it whatsoever. And I can only describe it as, it's not like you've forgotten, it's like it never even happened. People say, you know, I say to them about, I'll go to the kitchen and I'll open a cupboard and I can stand there and I have no comprehension at all of, why is that cupboard open? Oh, I do that. No. What's happened is that between the sitting room and the kitchen, your mind's been going on, and you've forgotten why you went to the kitchen. Well, I wouldn't even known that I was in the sitting room before. I'm just standing there at this cupboard with the door open. No comprehension of why. And going back, people say, well, you go back, sit down, nice and peaceful and quiet, it'll come to you. No, it doesn't. Once it's gone, it's gone. That brain cell has died. It hasn't forgotten it. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. So it's come along and ate it. There is no forget. It's gone. It's dead. It won't come back. You can't suddenly rematerialize. It's not like Star Trek and it will beam us back up and that brain cell will come back with them, but the information's still intact. It's gone. And once it's gone, it's gone. Sometimes, though, it can tease you. Because instead of the brain cell getting killed, because of the vascular, what happens is it's like a pair of scissors comes along and cuts the route to that brain cell. Snip, and all of a sudden that information is gone. But overnight, the brain, being really, really clever, it rewrites the map and finds a different way of the neurons or whatever fire in a different way, and you get back at that information. So yesterday you could do something, overnight somebody cut that, today you can't do it. It could be something really simple. That's how come you find, well, I find scissors in the fridge. Why are the scissors in the fridge? Well, I've got no idea why the scissors in the fridge, and I try to sort of think about it. I think, well, the fridge, it looks like a cupboard, and who knows? Well, I don't know why the scissors are in the fridge. Next time they won't be in the fridge, they might be in the cupboard, hopefully, but they could be anywhere. The reason being that whatever thought I had as to what should I do with these, assuming I knew they were scissors at the time, is that they're no longer scissors to me. So I'm putting them somewhere that makes sense then, but later, no, makes no sense whatsoever, because that thought is gone. That process has been eradicated, not forgotten, gone, and it may never come back. Sometimes you get tricked because it's the root that's been cut, not the brain cell, and tomorrow I wake up in the morning and they're in the fridge because it looks like a cupboard. All suddenly makes sense, everything's clear. Not exactly back to the driving, but another little anecdote thing. I replaced driving with doing loads of walking and cycling. I kind of went back, not because of the dementia, went back in time, back to youth and doing loads of cycling. Helps keep you fit, and it was my only way of getting around. Well, a couple of months ago I had a major episode, and that has kind of removed my road awareness. And now I can be walking along the road, and if there isn't somebody with me, and I give my mate Dave heart attacks, I feel sorry for him, but it's funny. I hear beep, beep, beep at a pelican crossing and think, oh, cross the road. Because beep, beep, beep means it's like, oh, you cross the road. Now, whether I want to cross the road has got nothing to do with it. It's a beep, 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 cross the road. Also, I don't need to be at the crossing. I might be 5 yards or metres, depending on what language we're going to speak in, before the crossing. Beep, 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 cross the road. And I'm out, I'm in the road. No, that's fine. But the cars haven't stopped, have they? They're only slowing down 5 metres before there. And so Dave has to be really quick and drag me back. And on average now, I have to be physically stopped from going out in the road at least twice a week. So how I happen to be here and still alive, I don't know. It's a time bomb. It's waiting to happen. I'm going to get run over pretty soon. I do lots and lots of council health walks, probably four a week at least. And I make sure everybody on those walks not only knows about my condition, and I try to keep them very aware of this being one of the problems, but they also have my express permission to lay hands on me. Sometimes it's good. And they'll drag me back and stop me from walking out in the road. A lot of the time, all it needs is not to actually stop me walking in the road, but just to touch me on the arm, or say road, or something like that, and that's enough to trigger it, and I will stop. But then at other times, I can look, I will actually look, and I could see a car coming, but it doesn't register, it means nothing. It's a car. That's a road, that's a car, I'm a person, yeah, big deal. Boom. Because there's no, they call it logic. To you, that would be, oh, car means dangerous. I'm a fragile human, don't stand in the road in front of the car. But no, that's gone. That doesn't have meaning anymore. Most days it does, but not always. And like I say, I hear that beep, 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 and that triggers this, cross the road. No thought whatsoever, just beep, 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 cross the road. So I do. That's how most things happen to me now. It becomes semi-automatic, I suppose. It's almost like I know that it's wrong, a bit like telling me to shut up because I'm talking or whatever. I know it's wrong, but at that moment I don't know it's wrong. But then when I see or think about the reaction, the reality, the sensibility comes back. But that's because I'm at a fairly early stage. I say fairly early stage because I'm difficult for the medical profession in that most human beings, their intelligence level is gauged by their capability to communicate. And my communication factory hasn't been too badly damaged yet. I can't write anymore because I can't hold a pen or pencil, so I make up for it by blogging. I do loads of writing about my adventures on the computer, and I've been doing that for a year. And that blog, I do it once or twice a month, and it's not just about me, oh, I got up and I went for a cup of coffee. It's all to do with things that have gone on and how I perceive the world now, looking through the eyes of dementia. And It's slowly built up. It now goes, it's read in over 100 countries. It's picked up by at least 40 new people every day. Every day, so the amount of readers and followers are going up and up and up. I get a lot of really, really good comments back from it, mostly from care professionals, because they use the blog and the videos I put up for training purposes, because they say it's so unusual to find somebody that is still capable of explaining these things. You know, because I can wake up in the middle of the night, and if I can work out how to use the microphone, I will try and talk. I will try and express what it is that is going on at that time, and that's fairly unusual that somebody with dementia is able to communicate in that kind of way. I get lots of people that are not health professionals, that are just carers that are looking after members of their family, and I try to help them via forums and things where I can try to give them insight into what may be going on in the mind of your loved one. There was one guy, and he and his wife used to love going shopping, absolutely love going shopping, and all of a sudden, you know, it would be on a Sunday and he'd say, "Oh, should we go to the shop?" Yeah, she's really excited, coat on, boom, 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 boom. Off they go, get in the car, drive to the car park. She won't get out of the car. So they've gone to the supermarket where she won't get out of the car, and they have to then go all the way back home and do the shopping online, or he has to find somebody else to be with her while he goes and does the shopping. And I said, well, I don't know what it is that's going on. I said, but I get times, and I have to do this nearly every time. If I'm going to go shopping, I go, and I look through the window and I think, yeah, it doesn't look too crowded, that'll be all right, because I will have trouble with the crowd. And there have been times I have to let the local supermarkets, they know me, because I'll go and get me basket or whatever, and I'll be going around, and if I perceive, doesn't mean it is crowded, I perceive it's getting crowded, I'll just leave the basket there and leave. I have to go home. There's no, I can't stay there, I've got to go home. It might be that. So he said, oh, hang on, she did say something along those lines sometime a while ago. And so now, well, I don't know about now, but at the time he said, right, what we're doing, so they changed and they'll go shopping at 2 o'clock in the morning or something at some 24-hour supermarket, because she loved the shopping so much and he wants to go shopping with her, so now they go 2 o'clock in the morning when it's not crowded, and they can still do these things together because of him getting that insight. There was a lovely comment I got one time from a lady in Hampshire that lives with dementia, I'll come back to those words in a moment, where she left a comment on the blog saying that she had woken up one Sunday morning, definitely a Sunday, and her Alzheimer's was giving her a really bad time. She was in a very dark place, it was really, really harsh, and somehow or other she started reading through the blog, and what came across was my attitude to life. Yeah, it's dementia, but big deal, let's fight, let's give it a go. And she actually said that she thought my attitude of being so pleased with the positives I had, rather than dwelling on what I've lost, that changed her whole day. And in the end ended up changing her whole week, because she looked at it and said, well, I can do that, I can do that. Don't let this dementia beat me. I've still got all these things, I've still got all these people, there's still these things I can do. And so the blog helps others, and in its turn that helps me. Just as doing this sort of thing. If I can help you, that to me is such a, it gives me such a buzz, but it gives me that purpose, like I say. Everybody's keeping very quiet. They're afraid I'm going to swither at them. Well, yeah, I wanted to. So, there is another bit that I want to do now, sort of to do with what I call context. Because one of the most major problems, and not just as I see it, but how things seem to come across, is the context. Things can be very different to me, or the person with dementia, to you, And so I want to do that. And it does mean I need one of you to sort of help me if you're going to risk it. I won't swear at you, I promise. I might forget that I promised, but is anybody okay at word games? Come on, so I promise, very, very easy. I'm not going to pick on you. I'm not going to do anything sort of particularly bad to you. Are you alright with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know if you can trust me, but yeah.
I notice you trusted me. Did you worry that I might try and show you up in front of everybody? Oh, you now, because I've actually said about it. I thought you might be right. Right, has it crossed your mind now I haven't even told you any of the rules?
You do? Yeah.
Do you know how to play the game then?
It depends which game it is.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Right then. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I've already been really, really nice to you. Because...
Really?
Yeah, well, because I warned you that we were playing a game. I might not even told you we were playing a game. I could have just been doing it. I could have been playing the game since you came in and you wouldn't have even known we were playing a game. So, you know, would you have stood a chance of winning it then? Right, so we're going to play a game.
Okay.
Are you ready to begin?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
White.
Black.
You are?
I am.
The third question was? Remember these. Ball, pen, orange. Name of the square. That's name and a square, not name of a square. Can you come backwards from 100, taking 7 away each time? Go on. Oh, 0.
93. Oh, that's the first one I got to.
What were those 3 things?
Pen, orange, ball.